How I Learned to Read by Celeste I grew up surrounded by books. My mom used to teach ESL, and now as a midwife edits nursing manuals in her spare time. My dad had trouble in school as a kid, but as an adult, loves to read novels. There are learning disabilities on both sides of my family, but I've always seemed to learn normally. Both my parents read to me and my little brother often, and encouraged other adults to do the same. When we moved across the country from California to Michigan, my mom made tapes of my grandparents reading me my favorite books. I can't remember anything about learning to read in preschool. All I remember learning are my left and right and how to use chopsticks. In kindergarten and first grade, I went to an alternative school with mixed-age classrooms. I knew that the first graders read in the afternoon, but that was it. When I moved to first grade, I too stayed the whole day, but I still did not learn how to read. My parents got worried, and after consulting with some friends, switched me to private school for second grade. My private school was structured to include half a day of immersion in Hebrew and half the day general studies in English. Suddenly, I needed to learn how to read in two languages at once. I don't know how she did it, but my parents say that my second grade teacher sat me down in her lap and taught me to read English. I asked her recently, and she told me that her philosophy is that children will only succeed if they're in a setting in which they feel comfortable and safe. She also says that she really believes in making reading a sensory experience, and loved to combine a phonetic approach with touch, taste, and smell. Along with being in regular classes, I continued to leave the classroom for special help in both English and Hebrew for the next few years. In fifth grade, I moved to Iowa, and the district wanted to test my reading. After having entered second grade as a non-reader, I suddenly tested off the charts, reading at a 12th grade level. When the results came in, the tester told me that I would be placed in a talented and gifted program, and asked if I had been in a similar program at my old school. I was confused and told her no, that I had been behind in reading and writing compared to my classmates. It was a really different experience to suddenly always be placed in the high-achieving groups in class. I don't know how I sped ahead in reading, but I do know that ever since I have loved to read. I devoured Harry Potter as soon as my granny brought me copies from England, and managed to read my way through all of the Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, and Boxcar children's sets. I always asked the librarians at my school libraries for the hardest books they had to offer, and was frustrated when they didn't produce books that challenged me. I still love to read today, and I want to pass this infectious love of reading on to my students. I know that simply loving to read won't make every child into a reader, but I do know that loving books will affect their lives forever.